Morning, everybody. Hope you're all having a good day so far. Markets are just getting started here. The European news was just released here. I'll bring up the Forex factory here so you can see it. Just do a refresh. Page isn't loading for some reason. I wonder if I lost the internet signal. What's going on here? Well, that's weird. That took a very long time. Anyway, you can see here, news was released 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. New York time. We had the ECB press conference, which was just finished there, and then we had the U.S. dollar, core durable goods, and unemployment claim numbers just released. So you can see the effect that it had on the euro. A little bit of a whipsaw, and away we go. So I think what we could end up seeing here, I'm just going to run back over to the dollar, and I'll just zoom in here. You can see the dollar was making a nice move up higher here, and so far we've retreated. Looking for that same thing in here. I was doing a New York session, or sorry, a London session. I was looking for the same thing, for price to run up and then to drop down. So that's now been done. Actually, price came in a little deeper than what I had thought, but nothing too serious. A couple of pips. So you can kind of see what I was looking at there. Now, price has got to get through, in my opinion, these series of down candles right here in order to validate this trade in here. We're going to need that price to run in through there. So we'll watch for that, and we'll see if that happens here. Price of Euro USD, we've seen they came down, ran the stops under here, so the market came down, really based, created a bit of a support level off of the old highs right in here, the body highs of this small consolidation area right in here. And I was looking for price to come down, so when I was discussing this, price was up here through into the London open session, and I wanted price to come down into here. We traded just a little bit lower, and I wasn't too sure, and I mentioned potentially going along in this area here, and then putting your stop down well below market action here. So as long as price doesn't come down through this level right in here, I'm not too concerned that we should see price start to run lower. I'm looking for higher prices. The U.S. dollar, so far, like, we had a nice slide on this on the week. We've had Monday run up. Tuesday, I'm looking at as Tuesday is this creating the high. I think if we were going to have a Wednesday reversal, we should have done it in here. It had the chance in here to do that, and then price had pushed down to close off Thursday, and then so far we've made a brief retracement in here, and this is probably about, price came up in here probably roughly right around 50% level. As you can see right there, came up to about the 50% level. If it does want to run a little bit higher, it may come up to the 61 or 62% retracement level, maybe 72, but I would hope that price would hit some sort of level of resistance in this area in here, if it does. So far we're making a very, very nice push down, but I want to see that continue. I'd like to see the bodies of these candles in here get taken out and then price close lower. So I'll be on here for about another 20 minutes or so. I'm not going to make this a very long live session, and we'll see sort of how price develops on the euro, and on the cable. Probably won't see a whole lot of action on the cable today. I think all eyes are going to be on the euro right now with the speech coming up, and I think that we'll probably see a little more action on the euro today. U.S. CAD, I was looking at this. This was an interesting pair that was sort of doing the opposite. U.S. dollar, as you can see, was making a real nice big run up in here, where the U.S. CAD wasn't making that. And this is on a 1 hour, but you can see these down candles in here. Price was coming in and running lower, while the U.S. dollar was screaming higher. So it's kind of interesting to see that. And then they had one big candle that posted a high in here, and so far it's rejecting that high. There is another range on the CAD that price could want to run up to, and fulfill a range up to 130.78, or you could even call it 80. Just as a round number, somewhere in and around there. They may want to come up and bring price up into there, but so far we're seeing a sell-off here, and again, I'd like to see some continuation on that. Crude oil, I wanted to talk about this one real quick here. It's creating some real nice levels under the market right here. Couple of equal lows right here from, put the day dividers on here so we can see, from last week. Earlier this week, price came down. Monday started out, rammed back down. Tuesday, Wednesday, now we're into Thursday trading, obviously. You see how it's creating these equal lows down here? I think that we could see some movement back down lower. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for crude to go higher, obviously, and I think one of the areas where we could see a return back up to is these old lows right in here. You see how prices come down and created these lows in there. We could see a return up to this area here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this in here today. Oops, sorry guys, I just got a bunch of, trying to pull up another window here. 1 second. There we go. I want to keep my eye on what the U.S. dollar is doing as I'm talking about oil on another screen here. Okay, where was it? Yeah, so crude oil, I think that we could see the price try to sorry guys, I'm not sure if you're getting any delays on your end here. I just noticed that my stream health is video output's kind of low here right now, so just if you could just maybe type in the chat room if you could, and let me know if it's actually all right on your end, or if you're seeing something a little bit different. I might have to restart the session here. Sorry for the delay, guys. I just want to make sure that I'm not going through all of this here, and that I'm not seeing, and that you guys are actually getting all of this. Okay, looks like my stream's back to live health now. Give me 1 split second. I'm just going to open up another window, and I'll just test this here. Dave, you got the video there? Okay. And I'm coming in loud and clear then, obviously. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It must just be rendering on my end for some reason. Maybe my connection's slow or something this morning. Anyway, talking about oil. So you can see Yep, perfect. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. Yeah, so you can see oil it's been sliding off. It's been coming back down to obviously 72% retracement level, and so far it's been held off. But there's a lot of stuff right now that I'm looking at on oil where they're giving it some reason for it to slide again. But I think there's a number of news events right now as well too that are suggesting that higher prices could be coming in, and right now I'm not seeing that. Like they're really holding price back at the moment. So it kind of leads me to believe that these lows right here and these lows right here that they just created. Let's get rid of that so you can see that a little bit better. These lows and these lows that they've created are kind of going to give them a bit of a reason to come back down one more time, and they actually did it down here one more time as well too. And I'll just kind of go back and just sort of look like in the past a little bit. You can see like these two equal lows down here. What did they do? They had a false rally for about a week. Well, they put that early in this week here between early June and mid-June, and then they came back down and smashed those lows down. You see that? They took that out, and then they came back and rallied price off of that. And now they're coming back. They've got a couple lows. I don't know that they'll get necessarily underneath and get under this 64.40 level. But these levels in here, I mean, that is a little bit reminiscent of what they've been doing here, where they've come down, created artificial support, and really just banging off of this level in here, and then slowly trading price up, and then we could see them come back down one more time for those lows in here. So I just kind of want to talk about oil real briefly, just because I'm looking at that and thinking it might be a bit of a suspect rally, and Total is coming in saying that they're putting their workers on strike. There's a ton of stuff from Iran coming out. They're talking about potentially blocking one of the oil shipment routes through the Gulf there, which is crazy. I don't think they're ever going to do that. There's China's buying. Japan came on, and now they're applying for an exemption status with the U.S. to not be part of the sanctions that were imposed on them, and to continue buying Iranian oil. I mean, just on and on and on and on. So, it's just the crude oil market, in my opinion. I think this high could be held for a little bit, and I would imagine that, in my opinion, I think anyway, I think they're going to come back down one more time on this and make a run for 66. So anyway, long story short, it may not happen. They could just ram price up from here. I'll just come back down to the hourly. I like price off of here. If they fail to get below this line here, then at 86, call it 85, somewhere in and around there. If they fail to get below that low there, then they may want to just leave these guys here intact for the next little while, and then they could start to make a rally. So they could come slam into it here. And it probably could happen here in about the next hour or so. Equities markets are just opening up here in about an hour here, and so that we could see something like this happen. But for whatever reason, I believe that there could be a reason for this thing to go lower. So I'm going to be watching for these lows, and I'll tell you, if these lows get taken out, then I'd be very interested in looking at getting on some potential long positions there. Now, seasonally speaking, crude oil, I'm just going to bring up a chart on this here. I'm just kind of waiting on this euro stuff, guys. There's not really a whole lot going on right now. They're just kind of chopping it sideways right now, so I'll keep an eye on this, obviously. I'm sure you guys are in there as well, too. U.S. dollar starting to push up here again as well. Rammed back down. They did leave a couple equal lows back down here on the dollar, so I think ultimately we could see a run down there, but they may want to seek higher prices for the interim. So we'll have to see how that pans out, but I'd really like it if the 11700 held price off here on the euro. If we start to see prices dip down a little bit lower than that, then we could want to come back down here and recapitalize this area in here, some of these longs in here. or sorry, some of these levels in here. So we'll watch for that. Anyway, I was just talking real quickly about crude, just because I want to finish my thought on this, and we'll come back to that. Now my internet is really lagging on my end for whatever reason today. I had a bunch of construction outside of my office here yesterday. They're repaving and doing a bunch of road work and everything else. So I don't know if it affected some of the cable coming in here or not. But energy, crude oil. Okay, so seasonally speaking, crude oil. As you can see from July, here we are here from July to August. And I'll pull up a 5-year historical on that as well too. As you can see, right now we're just starting to, on the 5-year seasonal trend, coming into a bit of a bearish position on it, but the longer term 15 and 35, it's kind of coming in at and starting to peak a little bit. So that's sort of why I'm thinking here that maybe that top that was just put in, so this guy right in here, that we may see that top hold for a little bit, and as price started to retreat just a little bit here. I mean, I could be wrong, and I mean, they could, you know, just keep screaming it up, because the price of crude oil obviously has just been defying everything lately and been on a massive bull run. You can see this here. And I wouldn't be surprised if it started to cool off a little bit, but you can see, seasonally speaking, that we are coming to an area of I mean, really topping out and just sort of sideways price action. The 15-year comes in here and starts to decline going into August, and then picks up some strength mid to end of September, and then finishes the year out on almost pretty much an even note. So we'll see sort of what happens here. Typical bullish patterns on crude oil start in January and start to cap out right about now. So, you know, like I say, I am bullish crude oil, but we definitely hit a bit of a peak right up in here, and I think it might have a little bit of trouble getting above it. Like I say, I'm reading a lot of news right now that's coming in and suggesting there could be lower prices on it, and so we're just going to have to wait and see. But like I say, I definitely like these areas down here, but they could want to jam this thing up one more time. There's another little area, pocket of price action up into here that kind of interests me. So if they do make a run for these guys here, they may want to run these out and then come up and recapitalize this area up here. Oops. That's the level I'm looking for. And if they do that, I'd be interested in getting in on along here and potentially hitting that level there. But if I don't know what the likelihood of price getting above these levels in here are, we'd have to address that once that comes in. So if you, I don't know if you guys are big crude oil traders or not. If you are, just throw a note on the chat here. John, yeah, you can hear just fine, John. Thanks, appreciate that, bud. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking on crude oil. Like I said, I don't know if you guys are big crude oil traders. If you are, cool, throw it up in the chat. Let me know. I can do a little bit more analysis for you. But definitely, I've been sitting on my hands, and you can see why. This is really choppy, ugly price action in here. They're just building up positions, and so that's kind of why I'm thinking, you know, and the other thing I'd have to look at too is what the current, you know, what the hedging positions are on this right now as well. If they're net short or net long, I'm going to have to look into that. I won't do that here today. I'll do that at another time. I feel like these levels down here are going to get taken out. So, anyways, Aussie dollar. I was looking for a run. I did this actually analysis on Tuesday. You can see in here that price it ran a little bit deeper than what I was looking at. Not too bad though. The general concept though was pretty much adhered to. I was looking for around, you know, that 73.80 level. Price came down to 73.60, 73.58, give or take, so about 20 pips deeper. I was looking for a bounce sort of in this area right in here. Nonetheless, it did happen, and got a nice reaction off of Aussie. So I'm not sure if any of you guys picked up that trade. It would have been a nice 100 pip trade on Aussie. I was actually looking for a little bit further of a run above these equal highs in here. We could still get that. I'm just waiting for the US dollar to finally do its thing here today and pick a direction. And so far, it's not doing a whole lot. It's coming in and really chopping sideways, putting positions in. So we might get a shot straight up to here. If we do, I put out a trade for our signals group on euro. So if we do see US dollar shoot up into this area in here, cancel that trade. But if no, and I'll put out a note on it here while we're doing this live session. But if this area does not get taken out and we start to see price roll over, then that trade should remain valid. So just watch that. I'll keep an eye on that as well too and update you. But Aussie dollar, I like this run up here, and I actually like that. You see this rate in here as well too, relatively equal lows just under the lows that they put in from yesterday. They may want to come back down and just sink it back down to this area down in here. So they may want to come down right under here, drop price down, and then come back in and make a run for these guys here. Now, the thing of it is, it's Thursday, it's kind of later in the week here, so we may not get a movement back up into Friday, and if we do, it may not start running highs or anything like that. So we may have to hold off on this idea until next week. Same type of idea with the euro. Looking for higher prices and to run up into this level here. May not get that now. It's kind of late in the week. I was hoping we would have put in a nice strong week. The pound dollar had put in a fairly decent week here, as you can see on here, and we're giving up a little bit of the gains now, but I mean, you know, we ran up about 130 pips, so some nice movements. Nothing crazy yet. You know, we're summer months, and with that obviously comes you know, a lot of big money sitting on the sidelines right now enjoying their summer vacation, so markets aren't always going to behave the way that we want them to. But I was mentioning in the London session, I don't know if any of you guys caught that or not, that I was looking to see what price was going to do in here, and ultimately I'd like to see it come down and try to recapitalize these highs in here, and looks like we're doing that right now. So if price doesn't want to come down and break these lows in here, and basically the lows right in there, then it should be good for a nice push up into here. So we'll watch for that to come through. See if they have any strength. If I'll just maybe put some levels on the chart here so we can look at this. I kind of like these highs right in here. Price is almost at that right now. So we'll watch to see if they're going to break this these levels in here, and that comes in at 31.52, 31.53-ish. So I'll watch that, see if they want to have any willingness to come lower than that. And again, if they sort of break the range in here, then they may want to come back a little bit deeper on this. They may want to come back down under here. I doubt it. They really worked this area in here quite well. One tiny little area under here. See these highs in here? They may want to come back down and just sweep this low. I don't think they'd do that here this week or anything like that. There'd have to be some pretty major news in order for that to happen. But they may want to come down and just get into this small little pocket of price action right under here. And that would come in at around 130.50. So we'll put that level on the chart here now as a potential. But like I say, they came down, slammed into it, took out these lows that I was mentioning on the chart a while ago here, and rejected off of that and had a very, very nice movement higher. We came back down right into the low. See these lows that have come into here? We've come right back down into those lows now, and so far are putting in a bit of a retracement, but lots of levels higher. on pound dollar, and they've been really moving this thing and pushing this thing up the past 2 weeks here. So some nice bullish movement on that. So we'll see how deep they want to go here today. And same thing on the euro. They are coming down a little bit deeper than what I had wanted them to. I was really hoping we'd sort of get a move and a bounce off of these levels in here. They looked like they were starting to do it in here, and so far they're driving out all of the long positions here now, running this thing a bit lower in conjunction with the US dollar, which is now starting to push up into this area in here. So we'll see how much more they want to take. I wouldn't anticipate them wanting to run these highs here or anything like that. But with the US dollar and Trump and everything else, you never know. They haven't wanted to, you can see this here, they haven't wanted to come back and grab any of the liquidity above these recent highs here. So that could also be a target, just one quick shot higher and then drop it. But there's a lot of reason for U.S. dollar currently to start dropping right now. Again, seasonally speaking and everything, it's a time of year where price tends to get a little bit weaker. And I've discussed my ideas on price retracing. But ultimately, I mean, if you look at this, ultimately, you know, we're in this right now. We're in a straight sideways consolidation. So, to be honest with you, trading these ranges in here, it's a little monotonous in my opinion, and it's not, you know, the greatest environment. Trading environments are obviously much nicer to trade, much easier, much more probable and profitable, obviously. You can certainly trade in consolidating environments, but you just have to be very, very nimble in the markets, day trading only, and sometimes, you know, getting in and out, you know, and doing scalping positions in environments like this. But I like the fact that they came up and ran these highs in here on the US dollar and then rejected. So to be honest with you, I'd love it if they'd cool the dollar off a little bit. This big run up in here, and they really haven't come back down to grab any liquidity into the market. Like especially under here, there's a couple of equal lows under here that they've left and haven't wanted to come back for those, and then a couple equal lows, 1, 2, 3 equal lows under here as well too. So there's a lot of positions under here that are resting right under there that they're sitting on. So yeah, we'll have to see again. U.S. dollar is hitting a period of seasonality where it is fairly bearish, and so they haven't really wanted to do anything other than just chop this thing sideways. And it doesn't surprise me. I mean, Trump with the tariffs coming in and pissing off every other country that he possibly can around the globe right now. Really focusing internally. They could just take that period of bearishness that the dollar usually sees around this time frame and consolidate this, and then when it comes finally back into a period where the bulls step back in, they could just start rallying this thing, you know, past this area here and up and beyond. So there's lots of levels that I discussed earlier from previous sessions. You can go back and watch, but there's, you know, a bunch of stops resting above here. So in my opinion, that would be probably the first target on this move up. And if we do get a symmetrical swing higher, you know, we could be looking at levels, for instance, coming back and even potentially taking out the highs from here. So, you know, there could be a lot of upside to the US dollar, but I would have really liked to see a bit of a retracement before they did that. But, you know, like I say, that I mean, everything's in new territory right now. You know, putting tariffs on China and, you know, putting sanctions back on Iran and Russia and some of the other countries really stepping up and taking a foothold in the world economy, selling their gas and a lot of their oil to into Europe now and everything. Things are definitely not what they used to be. So, you know, who knows? All the seasonality and trends and everything else that have been exhibited in Forex and commodities, you know, over the past, you know, 20, 30 years or so, you know, those could all be upended, and some new trends could be coming in, you know, just with all these new policy shifts and everything. That's pretty drastic, obviously, but you never know. crazier things have definitely happened. So you have to be expected. You have to expect the unexpected sometimes. So, anyways, U.S. dollar starting to see a little bit of a retracement here. Could be short-lived, though. They could want to keep pushing this thing a little bit higher. There's definitely a little bit of room, a little bit of pocket up in this level here where they may want to grab still. And they may want to come back up and recapitalize off that 70. You know what? I can actually just do this. Maybe refine this just a little bit. Capturing this whole move down in here. And you can see here the 79% retracement level brings us just about up to these old lows in here. So we could see price move up to there just briefly. So just keep an eye on that level there. I'd hope we would see price stall out at that level there. But again, it is Thursday, and you know, they had made a little bit of ground this week, and just briefly taking out the lows here on Monday. Where did Monday open? We're just above Monday opening right now, actually. On the week, you see a weekly candle opened up right here, Monday, Tuesday, and then pushed up to 94.22 level. So we're hovering just below that Monday's high rate, or Monday's opening right now. So we'll see what they want to do there. But anyway, while we're watching this here, I'll stay on with you guys here for maybe about another 10-15 minutes or so. I kind of want to see how this pans out. But if there's another pair that you guys are looking at, throw it up on the charts here, and I'll definitely be interested in taking a peek at that. Dave usually, and sorry, and just a quick update for tomorrow regarding S&P and gold markets. Dave is going to take the rest of the week off. He took last week off on vacation, came back, but was going to take another week off of the markets just to kind of relax and recharge and refocus. And he is not going to be around for tomorrow, so I don't know that we'll do a live session tomorrow. I think we'll probably just call it a week after this one here. Been a bit of a long week for myself personally, and so I think we'll probably just call it that. If I see any action on the charts or anything like that that looks interesting, we can certainly have a go at it then. But for now, I think we'll just sort of hold off, and Dave will be back next week. He'll be doing next Wednesday and next Friday's session, S&P and gold sessions there for you guys. So U.S. yen. I was actually looking at that. I got a lot of stuff on this chart. Let me clean this up. U.S. yen's nice bull market on yen. This thing's been trending very, very nicely. Price came jammed up into these, put in a couple of highs in here. Just failed to take in the highs in this area in here. Great sell-off from there, and so far we're hitting a bit of a bit of support in this area right in here. So we'll see. They may want to bounce and make one more leg higher. In order to do that, though, the U.S. dollar would start to really have to push higher in here as well. And you can kind of see, I was sort of hoping that the dollar would come up and tag this area in here. They just missed this level here, so yeah, sorry guys, I'm just writing a quick note here to my subscribers. I don't like what Euro USD is doing right now. It's kind of pushing a little bit lower than what I had hoped. Coming into that 116.85 level. So I had a trade idea on today. I wanted to see price come down and start to base. It might do it in here and start to garner a little bit of support in this range right in here where it's currently at. But if it doesn't, it might leak a little bit more, and I don't want to see that happen. So I'm just putting a note in there to cancel a trade idea for the euro. So yeah, like I was saying with U.S. yen here, if they do come up and want to create another leg, that they left a lot of areas above the market rate here where they didn't come up and reclaim any of the liquidity. And the last liquidity run was this guy right here, and then they jammed the market down, came up one more time, failure swing 1, 2, 3, and then sunk the market. And so far, I've been making a nice bull rally since the middle of March here, and just failed to get above this first high in here a week ago. That was about June 19th, 18th in here. So kind of interesting. Seeing a little bit of support so far. Prices come down with 1, 2, 3 times. And this is on the daily as well too. So I mean, I can kind of run in here and you can sort of see what price has been doing the past few days. It's just really been going sideways this week, and so far we're getting a little bit of strength here. But if the U.S. dollar, if this thing starts to roll over, then I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of chance of this making another big rally up into here. And definitely I don't see this as getting taken out on this run here. They may want to bring prices down a little bit further. And again, if the U.S. does, finally come in and adhere to the seasonality trend, then the UJ should roll over as well too. Now I haven't checked the interest rates or anything like that on yen. I don't know if they've been increasing their policies or not here. I'd have to look into that. I'm not a big yen trader, so there's definitely some stuff that I have to look in there before I would be able to sit and tell you if it was going to be running higher or lower from here. But you can see this big move from here to here. Really bounced pretty hard off of this level, and we're coming back down to that 50% of this big move in here. So I'm assuming a lot of these were due to, a lot of these big market shifts in here were due to interest rate policies and the whole bit here. So we could be seeing another one in here. I haven't looked at the news or interest rates from them lately, but I'll have to do that actually. Anyway, moving on, Canadian dollar. Again, seeing a little bit of a push up here. They're not really jamming this up as quickly as I'd have hoped that they would have. But you can see a big sell-off this week on Canadian dollar. Put on the day dividers here. Canadian dollar actually surprised me how much it moved this week. Got about 160 pip run on this. Really haven't been doing much with the Canadian dollar the past 3 weeks. You can see prices really been sort of caught in this range here, and hasn't been doing a whole lot. Briefly got out of it here and briefly out of it here. 1 second, guys. And so the past 3 weeks of trading the Canadian dollar haven't been great. It's just sort of been sitting sideways and chopping, trying to make up its mind as to what it really wants to do. And price jammed up into these old lows in here from this week of consolidation, and has sold off from there. Nice move lower on this. Actually, a symmetrical swing lower too. You look at this move here, 1, 2, almost perfectly symmetrical swings lower. So we'll see if they want to do a third one here. But if they do, I would expect a bigger retracement, and then maybe if it does retrace back up into this level in here, we could get one more push down, and that would sort of take it under these lows under here. So we'll watch for that. But that's a nice price swing right there. Just from last week to this week here. But really, it's again. I mean, I hope you've been enjoying your summer vacation, because the forex markets haven't necessarily been the, you can get a good day in here or a day in there of trading, and really just there haven't been any decent swing trade setups to speak of as of late, unfortunately. And you can see why. You can see price in here. There's no swing trading going on in there. So I just want to talk real quick about copper. And where are we here? Copper so far has made a fairly nice movement off of these lows. Now it came in. Copper right now seasonally, again, it is about to experience an area, a seasonal trend, bullish trend. It typically sets some lows that come in right about this time frame in here, and as you can see, we saw a nice sell-off on copper. Came back down, recapitalized. In my opinion, a big liquidity pool under the market here. They were trading this thing up since August of last year, so about this time frame from last year, and did not have any willingness whatsoever to come back down. And you can see here, right, they left these areas here perfectly intact. They didn't do a stop run. They came down here, created two equal lows under here, and then ran price up and came down once, came down twice, and didn't take any of the liquidity under there. And then finally pushed the market down very quickly. This only took a couple of weeks to happen. In my opinion, they pushed that down very quickly, and so far have created an interim low in here. Now I'm just waiting to see if they want to bring price back down one more time, or if it will indeed do something like this here, where you can see prices come up, it based, came back down, and see if we get any level of support in here. And then I'd be looking at taking a long position from here, and catching this potential move higher. And you can see what they did up here. These are almost, if I zoomed in here, I think these are almost exactly on this price chart here. Anyway, your price chart may be giving you something a little bit different, obviously, in terms of what the actual high came in at. But 129.76, and then this high came in here at 129.66. So sorry, it just fell short of this high here. So they're leaving those highs up there for a reason, obviously, and we could be seeing a nice bull run coming in here. Again, seasonally speaking, we could see something here, and I'll just, if you bear with me for 1 second, I can bring up a seasonal on this. You can see right in here, price comes down into, and it's a little bit late of a bear rally there, the push down. But you can see into July here, we see a nice push higher into the fall months on copper. So that's sort of what I'm looking for to come in here and and start recapitalizing these positions down here and pushing higher. So we'll see if they want to do that on copper. Now again, this is a commodity, and I'm not a licensed commodity broker or anything like that. These are just my ideas, not to be constituted as actual trade advice. So you do that all on your own accord, obviously. I'm not going to say anything more about that, but just legal, a little bit of legal mumbo jumbo there. Cocoa came down. This market, I was watching this market from early in this year, from January. We had a nice push up into here and a nice retrace, but I was hoping they would have came and pushed a little bit higher. They came down one more time and swept this low here, and ran right back into this old high in this small consolidation area right in here again. So we'll see what happens on cocoa. I'm going to actually sit down. I won't be doing it this month, but probably the end of next month, coming into September, about a week before the end of summer, I'm going to sit down and run through a bunch of commodities again, and come up with some front runners, and see which one's going to be trending into the fall, and see if we can't take advantage of a couple of moves on some commodities coming up for the last 4 months of the year. But so far, been really good on the commodities side of things. Predicted a couple of nice moves in sugar and a couple of nice moves in orange juice, and I think we're going to be seeing a nice one here in copper coming in here pretty soon. And so far, you know, not a ton of setups, obviously. Commodities work that way. I don't day trade or scalp or anything and do any of that in commodities. And, you know, the 3 or 4 trades that have been given out that I've found out have actually panned out quite nicely. One of them I've been waiting on here so far is nat gas, and nothing on nat gas yet. It's really come down, traded softer. I'm not interested in seeing them come down and taking these lows. If they do that, in my opinion, then we'll probably see them start to come and run out these lows here, which won't be favorable. But I'm looking for another move back up into here. We may not get it until a little bit later in the year, so just keep that in mind. But we're going to see what happens here. I'm expecting a push higher in that gas, but we'll see how that pans out. Nothing yet that I can see. If price comes back down into here, and you know what, let me clean this up here a little bit. It's getting a little messy. So if price wants to come back down, and you see this big gap right in here, they filled that gap and pushed higher. But if price would want to come and trade back down to this level, you know what? Let's try something a bit easier here for you. If price would want to come back down and trade down to this 274 area, maybe even 275, I might be interested in having a look at something there. Purely technically speaking on a chart, I'd have to obviously confirm a couple other things just to make sure that would come to fruition, but that's kind of what I'm looking at on that gas. So we'll see if that wants to pan out or not. Just go back real quick. What's the US dollar doing here? Is it starting to see any level of resistance? As I said, price ran up right to that 79% retracement level and rejected. So kind of funny how that works. Like almost right to the pip on that, actually. So we'll see. If price is going to head lower, it's got to break this candle right there. It's got to get lower than that and start closing lower, and then getting back into this consolidation area on the day here and start closing lower into there in order for me to get excited about a move continued lower, and then potentially taking out these lows here. Anyway, Bitcoin, seen a nice little rally on Bitcoin here so far. Haven't really been super excited about the crypto markets as of late. Really haven't been doing a whole lot. They've just been kind of sitting sideways. You can see here for about the past month or so, 6 weeks anyway. Not a whole lot of excitement. You can see all of the moves right now, and this is kind of interesting. So Bitcoin really is seeing the only move out of this range. So it sat in this range, it gapped down, and it really sat sideways in this range from the middle of June up until obviously the just recently here, just in the past 2 weeks, been making a big push. But look at all these other majors. Look at Ethereum, look at Ripple, look at Litecoin. No movement out of that range. They're still just sitting in there, and so it's kind of interesting that they're only pushing Bitcoin right now, but none of the other ones are really seeing any momentum higher. Kind of makes me believe that maybe it's a suspect rally. Either that or it's just a really delayed effect on them. I'm not a giant crypto trader, but for all you crypto traders out there, you know, I find that very interesting that Bitcoin is the only one that's rallying, and none of the other ones are. Now that's just a couple of the majors. Obviously, that's just 3 or 4 of the majors, right? Litecoin, Ripple, Ethereum. There's definitely other big ones out there. Of course, I haven't looked at those, and they could be screaming up higher here. But I find that kind of interesting that they're rallying just Bitcoin. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on that. So that's about it, guys. Really not a whole ton going on. They rallied price up, jammed down one more time, and pushed prices higher on the US dollar. So we could see prices just sort of sit sideways or even climb a little bit higher on that here today. If they don't start rolling over, then I'm not really too excited about any potential for a trade going forward. I was hoping, like I say, the euro came down to 116.85 in here, and I was hoping they wouldn't have come down that deep, but it did fulfill a trading range here that I did have my eye on. So hopefully they won't need to come back down any deeper on that one. But you can see big sell-off in here today, so we'll have to see what they want to do. Really, they came down. If you take the low and the high, really came down to that 50% retracement level from yesterday's consolidated trading range. This right in here was just a stop hunt yesterday. They came down, they opened price up yesterday, ran prices above the market, took all the stops, ran prices below the market, took all the stops, and then ripped prices back up. And they've come back down and they've retraded back down to about that 50% level in here. So that's kind of another reason why I was expecting a nice big pop off of here, and seeing prices just essentially do this here and start taking out this high from earlier, from earlier in the week. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Yeah, from earlier in the week. That's Monday's high there. And then potentially getting above these highs from a couple of weeks ago. But so far, not a whole lot. Price could, it's very early New York open, so we could see price finally start to get up there later in the day here. But I would imagine if price doesn't start breaking out of this range in here in about the next hour or so, the likelihood of it is going to fall off quite a bit, that it's going to do that. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. What's US CAD doing? US CAD starting to show a little bit of a sell-off in here. Would have hoped they would have came up a little bit higher on US CAD. Would have really liked to see if they would have came up to what's going on here? Oh, that's a box, that's why. Can't move that. I would have liked to see them come up and get back into this, the low of that candle there. But so far, nothing. So far, haven't made a push yet. They've just briefly come up and taken out that candle high. And haven't really shown too much willingness to do anything. So they're gathering positions in here now. So they're either going to pop it up or pop it down. So we're going to probably find out here pretty quickly. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, throw them up in the chat. I've got the chat up to my left here on one of my other screens here, so I can take a look at that while we're kind of waiting for price to develop. Are any of you guys even really trading that much this summer? Like I say, it's the US dollar hasn't really been doing a whole ton. So for me personally, I've been taking maybe a trade a week here or there. It's just been really slow. And it's summer as well too, so that's typically the par for the course for the summer. Just got a note from Dave on our chat room. Dave, yes, I did cover copper. I'll just maybe type a note back for you. I can bring that up for you again real quick here, Dave, if you'd like. If you're on there right now, here is my thoughts on copper. Just real quick in here. I'm looking for a move back down to, and I can refine this a little bit here. Looking for a move. That's not the price tag I wanted. Looking for a move back down here into 127.50 level. Maybe 127.60. Maybe drop down in an hourly and see what we've got here. See how prices has come down here, created that low, and it's come back and traded all of the levels very, very efficiently. They ran stops just under here. Just briefly ran stops right under that one low right there, just by a couple of pips. And then since then have been capitalizing and just propelling itself higher. The only area, in my opinion, where they may want to come back down to would be, see these equal highs in here? I'll just maybe grab this and come in here. See that level right there? That may be one area where they may want to come back down to. And that comes in at, oops. Let's see if they'll give me the price, exact price on that. There, let me just do this. 275.66 ish. 275.66. Excuse me, guys. Sneezing all over the place here. Yeah, so that's kind of an area that I'd be interested to see them return price back down to on copper. Oh, finally got a price tag that actually go right on the level I was calling for. So we'll see if they want to do that. Just basically come down, briefly take out this low here. Then I'd want to see them start to garner some support and not really want to go much lower than that. 1 second here, guys. Sorry about that. Suffer from seasonal allergies right around this time frame. This year wasn't too bad. My office is an area as well too where there's a lot of construction going on, and it's there's a lot of dust flying and everything in the area too. So I've noticed just since I've moved offices here recently that it's a little off topic, but I'm just sneezing all over the place lately. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying on copper, price really made a nice push out of this level in here, and so far has created an interim high here, and so far trading back nicely. So if we do get lower than here, I'd be interested to see if we come back down to the 2.756 level, and see if we see any support in here. If we don't see price want to go much lower than that, then I might be interested in taking some longs in there, which would just be a nice level. And you can see, you know, again, they just failed to run out the highs in here. So at the very least, we might be able to get a move just back up into these lows in here. You see these lows that come in there. We might get a move back up into there, which that'd be a nice trade if we can get a move back up into here to the 288 level. That'd be a fairly decent move in copper, in my opinion. Might get a nice, could be a nice week trade on that one, week-long trade, little mini swing trade. So we'll watch for that. So hopefully, Dave, that answers your question. I see you had to step out for a meeting there quick. But that's what I'm looking for here. And we may see that even come down today. I don't know. If we start to lose the support in here, then we could even see that price come down into there today. Maybe in tomorrow. I wouldn't be interested necessarily in taking a trade on that tomorrow. I'd probably wait until Monday opens up to see. And then just keep in mind, guys, next week is non-farm numbers are coming out next week. So I might even elect to hold off on this just because of non-farm as well. And maybe even look at it into the second week of August. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there on copper. So hopefully that kind of answers your question on what my thoughts on copper were, Dave. Okay, where are we here? Back to Euro USD. Making a nice push up on this today. See, this is what I'm talking about on the US dollar. Really kind of driving me nuts trading in this consolidation level here. I'm just going to get rid of all of this here and clean this up a little bit. And just trading straight sideways on this. Really nothing, nothing to base it off of. I mean, a couple of levels, maybe here you know, you could have maybe got a gauge off of this level on here on a bounce. But really, I mean, as price was falling off here, it came back, retested these lows in here. We should have seen price continue to fall. Now, if I go down to an hourly chart, there is one little level in here, as I was mentioning earlier, that I would have liked to see them come up into, and it was this low right here. As it sits, they came up to these lows, just about got these lows over here. My eye was actually kind of going over to these lows in here initially when I saw this run up in here. So they may want to come back up for that one more time, or they're just going to come back in and just kind of wick it in here one more time to run out everybody who was short and who were jamming their stops down. They're coming to run those guys out one more time just before they run this lower. Or the third option is they're just going to sit in here and just keep doing this, banging this around in between these two lines in here for the rest of the summer. So that's kind of the options on that. John, you had brought up a question. Summer price action. Yeah, totally. Summer price action sucks, right? I mean, that's what you're getting right now. Summer price action. So I'm curious, actually. I don't recall what the price action was last summer. So here's the start of last summer from July. Where are we? July 2017. Looks like it trended a little bit better than what it is to September 1, or wherever Labor Day was, basically, I guess. Doesn't really matter. That's pretty much when the money comes back in after Labor Day. Actually, nice trending market, actually, last summer. So definitely didn't see this, right? Look at the difference. Last summer, this summer. Big difference in trading. I wonder what 2008-16 was. Try and get a gauge on that. And so this was 2016 to September 1. This is a little more conducive of summer trading here. You can see right in there. Bit of a bearish trend in here, but you know, for the most part, pretty well sideways. So, and you can see as well too that seasonally speaking, right? There's that same bearish tone that's that the market should be seeing, right? Same bearish tone that the market should be seeing. Right now, just absolutely nothing. Just straight. Actually, technically, it's a little bit bullish. Price is creating new highs. New high, new high, new high, new high. Higher, higher low. I mean, I'm calling that equal lows. Higher low, right? So definitely opposite to what we've been seeing. And again, you know, just kind of goes back to exactly what, you know, Trump is doing. You know, he's definitely throwing a wrench in all of this stuff with the U.S. dollar. And so, you know, kind of find that interesting. Do one more here. Look back to 2015. Whoops. June 1st to September 1st. Thereabouts. Again, bearish seasonal. I mean, came up here, created a high, and just ran the liquidity in 2015 there briefly, and then obviously you can see here the rest of that was just a nice rip lower, taking out previous lows from earlier in the spring. Right, so that's the trend that we should be seeing right now. Now it's still early. I mean, right? I mean, we could see the run up here last week in mid-July as sort of the topping pattern of sort of what we've seen, you know, maybe here and then, you know, here type of thing. And we could start to see a massive sell-off coming into August. I mean, that's definitely in the cards. But I would have liked to start to see it in here already. So, lots of fun. So far, price is rejecting nicely off of these levels in here. Come back up into this small little area, that small little pocket in here, hitting the lows in here, wicking through, but so far not closing. So let's see if there's any momentum down there. I'd really like to get a position off on the euro on these, just based off of these lows in here. Right in here. I don't believe there was any other news on the day. No other news on the day. Going into tomorrow, into Friday, there's some advanced GDP numbers coming out, and a revised UOM consumer sentiment a little bit later in the day tomorrow. So we might see some movement tomorrow as well too. That's about it. Some nice manipulation here on the fiber. Pound saw a little bit of movement as well. I was hoping to see that this 131.50 level would have held up. You can see they pushed price down one more leg and ran the lows. Oh, come on, give me this trend line. Thank you. You can see they just ran the lows right there by a couple of pips. Bit of a stop run. So not interested though right here on getting in any position. They could roll this thing over and come down one more leg lower. They did a bit of a stop run here underneath these lows yesterday. But so far, if there's any long positions that have been stacking up from Tuesday, they haven't wanted to come back down and run any of those. So they may want to do that in here on the cable. And then for euro, there's a little bit of a level. See these highs in here at 116.12, about 116.20, 20 at the high. They may want to come back down there if they get a real deep swing on this. I doubt they'd come back down, get that little level in here, but that could be something that they may want to run down to as well if price continues to further decline. Like if we take out this low here, then we could see a return back down to there, but I don't think that's too likely in my opinion. Anyway, unless you guys got some other questions or something like that, I think I'm going to wrap this up. There's really not a whole lot. We saw a nice decline on the euro today. I was hoping for price to reverse in here, creating the low. It didn't. I was wrong today. You know, no big deal. Again, summer trading, so sometimes those things happen. But I would hope that we wouldn't. So just to kind of come back to the dollar real quick, I hope that we don't see price having to trade all the way back up into here again to get up into these pockets of price. I really hope that price just kind of starts to, you know, base here and then roll over, and we see lower prices. We'd really like to see them start to trade out of this consolidation level here, you know, whether it be higher or lower preferably. But, you know, it'd just be nice for them to start to do that here. Now that we're coming into August, again, non-farm news is coming out next Friday, so they could be waiting for that, obviously, and just, you know, tracking this thing sideways until we see that. But so far, there haven't been a whole lot of non-farm events that I've really been captivated by. A lot of them have been fairly muted, and with the exception of maybe one or two here, but yeah, I'd like to see this thing kind of get on with it already and do what it's going to do, and just you know, start getting into a trending market again, and so we can start capitalizing on some of the moves. But yeah, kind of like watching paint dry. So anyway, hopefully you got a little bit of value out of this today. Again, I'm going to wrap this up for today. I'm not going to do a live session tomorrow. If I see any levels that interest me off of today, that could be a good setup going into tomorrow. It'd be an intraday trade. It'd be kind of in and outs, you know, a few hours through the London and maybe New York session, and then I'd be calling it an early day tomorrow if anything pans out. This so far isn't necessarily very encouraging. Unless price starts really trading out of this range, I'd be holding off on any ideas going long on euro for a little bit. Long term, I mean, there's lots of area above price that I think they could be running back into. But if they don't want to do that, then we have to maybe just contend with it sitting in this current extended consolidation range for a little bit longer. So I really like cable, though. If cable would trade out of this trend down here, that'd be great. They'd have to get above. Real nice bear move in here, but they'd have to get above this trend line here. I mean, really get above these highs in here in order to switch it up into a bullish run. This being the low here, they came down once and then ran it from there. So far, some nice price action on it. Cable, in my opinion, has definitely been a lot better to trade than euro for obvious reasons. You look at this. You know, especially this last week, cable's been a little bit easier to trade. Been kind of a nicer trending market. Brief retrace down in here on Monday, Tuesday's low, and then a push higher from there. But anyway, guys, that's it. I don't have really anything else to say on the markets, so I've been on for about an hour and just coming up onto 20 minutes. So unless something jumps out on the chart that is a big flashing trade me signal, you know, there was some euro news coming out, so this was obviously not what I was looking for it to happen. I'm going to be watching this to see, though, if they want to come down under these lows here. If we lose these lows here, then I think we'll just be snapping right back to the consolidation range in here, and we may need to capitalize off of this range here and potentially even the 1620 level. We'll see how that goes. But so far, nothing on euro. Cable, I'd like higher prices from here. I think there's a lot of areas above prices that I think we can run. Euro GBP, this was sort of interesting. I'd maybe just talk about this for a real brief second. I was kind of looking for price to come back down and sort of recapitalize off of the highs in here. It looks like it's doing that so far. It could see a little bit deeper of a price retrace in here, down to the the 88.60 level. Watch that price level on this, and I would expect some level of support in around the 88.60 level on Euro GBP. So if that does happen, then that could be that final push lower on the euro, and then this thing basing higher. And then Canadian dollar, like I say, haven't done a lot with Canadian dollar, just because this in here hasn't been great trading. But here's the thing with Canadian dollar, definitely a little more bullish in terms of the price action compared to the US dollar. You can see here. And obviously, if the US dollar is going to be exhibiting bearish seasonality, the US CAD should be seeing the same thing as well. We're clearly not seeing that here, which shows a lot of weakness in the Canadian dollar. And we could be seeing higher prices. Price ran perfectly right up into this low. What was this one coming in? This low came in at 133.86. And this low here came in, or sorry, these highs here came in. You can see the bottom of the chart at 133.85. So missed it by 1 pip. So perfect delivery of price there. And we can see it's been selling off briefly. But, you know, again, that's still very, very bullish momentum here. Crude oil, anything going on in crude oil? Price is just sitting there, just really working this range in here. So nothing on crude oil that I like yet. And Aussie, come back to this one quick, making a dip back down here. So we'll see if they want to run these lows under here. So far they haven't wanted to do it yet. Grab a chart, grab a level off of there. So we'll see if they want to come down and briefly take those lows. If price comes and stabs back into here on Aussie, I'm not looking for them to go any lower on this pair. I would be looking at potentially getting some long positions on Aussie if they do come down to this level here. So I mentioned that before. So maybe the 73.85 level, somewhere in and around there. See if they want to come down and hit that price level. I'll be watching that today on Aussie. So anyway, I'm going to call it a session here. Thanks very much for joining me, guys. Appreciate that. If you have any questions, just shoot them up in the chat there or on our in our chat room, and we'll go from there. So thanks. Hope you have a great Thursday. I'll be back again. I'll be doing next week's London Open session, and then I'll do a pre-recorded video for the week on Sunday. I'll post that up for you guys to check out for next week's trading, so you can kind of get an ideas on some levels that I'm looking at, and we'll go from there. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and we'll catch up to you next week. Take care.